how many of you that have testified as an experts, where the opposing attorney has said, I'll stipulate that Mr. Vance is an expert. Let's move on. How many?
Happened last week.
Yep.
It happens all the time. You ought to, as an expert, you ought to coach your attorney that there are some things that you think it would be helpful for the court to hear about your background to differentiate yourself from the opposing expert, to the extent there are differentiating factors.
Even if they want to stipulate.
Yeah.
Right.
No, Your Honor, we want you to hear this.
This is how it goes. Your Honor, I appreciate the stipulation, or the offer of stipulation, because remember, a stipulation also requires the judge to accept it on the record. We had a Court of Appeals case, I don't know if that was one of yours, where Judge Weiss tomorrow, one of his appellate, Judge Weiss didn't use the magic words, I accept the stipulation. But I'll say, Your Honor, there are a few things about my expert's qualifications that I think are important to highlight for his or her testimony today. And they'll always say, very briefly, and that's when you drive a truck through the very briefly as far and as hard as you can, especially if you got a
Your Honor,
beauty
she's
contest.
kind of a big deal.
Yeah. Well, I've had that specifically to be relevant in if I'm testifying against an expert that's not a CPA. That's when their attorney wants to pop up and say, I'll stipulate, because they don't want the court to hear the difference in a CPA and a non-CPA, especially in marital dissolution. It's really critical.
Don't you love going up against economists?
Yeah. Yeah.